So recently, a decently well-known creator in the theme park tycoon community who goes by the username of SergeantSnake has recently been exposed for participating in numerous illegal activities that involve abusing YouTube's DMCA copyright takedown system to ruin the channels of others, falsely claiming others as well including me of harassment, but most importantly deleting any sort of evidence to try and justify his actions. This as well has gone to the point where Sergeant has now been threatening me with false lawsuits that not only he knows nothing about, but that he himself isn't even old enough to file. So today I will be going through the entire situation and discussing the major problems that this creator has caused in the community, so please leave a like and subscribe if you think that SergeantSnake should be held liable. To get a brief understanding, we will be going back to 2024 before the SergeantSnake channel was created, where he had originally owned a channel that was named The Mystical Fruits that uploaded similar content to what he uploads now. However, in early July, the channel had been banned as the channel had been continuously uploading content that was stolen and re-uploaded from another channel by the name of RapidWave, who is a talented builder in Theme Park Tycoon 2. However, following the ban, Sergeant then decided to create the SergeantSnake channel. Similar actions were being followed as he had been completely stealing builds from RapidWave and further uploading them to the Theme Park Tycoon 2 workshop as his own, fully taking credit of the well-created builds and further faking messages that were not said by RapidWave to manipulate his audience, let alone frame Rapid. And pretty recently, Sergeant had actually created a video that was about addressing the drama. However, his only points he was making on Rapid was that Rapid was stealing his builds and uploading them as his own, all the while Rapid's videos of his blueprints were already posted before Sergeant had uploaded it to the workshop, and according to Sergeant, Rapid addressing the drama and stolen content in his community posts is considered harassing and bullying minors, further providing false statements on his behalf. However, in this video, I want to talk about and address something that is much more serious than just stealing builds as well as videos. Many of you know that back in September of 2024, when the Theme Park Tycoon YouTuber by the name of Gorla had reached 10,000 subscribers, he had decided to host a build battle for his fans to celebrate hitting the 10,000 subscriber milestone. The serious part that I am diving into here is that SergeantSnake was one of the many contestants that had signed up to compete. And in the end, and further than announced when Gorla uploaded the results of the build battle on November 16th at 7 AM PST, SergeantSnake was announced as the winner of the 10,000 subscriber build battle and received first place. But now this is where everything turned to the absolute worst, as just a few hours after the video had been released, Gorla had received multiple complaints that Sergeant had in fact broken the rules and cheated, with using blueprints that were created by others for his own beneficial gain, which was and is against the rules that were stated in the build battle. Sergeant here as well did in fact confirm that he used a blueprint but then modified it, essentially recreating it to try and apply it as his own creation. This is still a lame attempt at an excuse where not only the dragon head was a blueprint, but if you look at the pyramid that as well Sergeant had made in the build, this was a near exact recreation of the pyramid that Benchy's Adventures had created in his YouTube series Realm of Rides in episode 9. This here may not be an exact blueprint, but it is still without a doubt a near exact copy, and due to Sergeant breaking the rules of this build battle, he was disqualified from receiving the first place prize. But then as it came to over 5 months after the incident, Sergeant had then filed a copyright strike against Gorla's build battle results video, to which his claim he made was that Gorla had used his build without consenting, stating that after Gorla had banned him, that he did not consent to his build being used in the video. However, the major issue here with that is that if we go back to the date when the build battle video was released at 7 AM PST time, Gorla had actually been informed of Sergeant cheating only 3 hours after the video had been uploaded. There were as well no screenshots provided that showed that Sergeant had not consented to having his build be shown in the video before it was released, meaning this copyright strike that he had filed being a false copyright strike. Whereas under Title 17 United States Code Section 512F, which is part of the US copyright law that penalizes people who abuse the DMCA takedown system, specifically those who knowingly file false copyright claims or counter notices. Now this here isn't just it, as Sergeant, after striking Gorla's video, had then proceeded to start deleting all the messages of him fully consenting and agreeing to his content being used in the video. And under Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1519, which is a U.S. federal law that makes it a crime to destroy or hide evidence with the intent to interfere with an official governmental process, these actions that SergeantSnake have done, if processed, can be documented as federal crimes. And to note as well, which makes this situation even worse, is that he didn't file the strike because Gorla used his copyrighted material, but simply because Gorla was quote-unquote bullying him, which should be obvious that this is absolutely no excuse for a false strike, as under Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1621, which in other words is known as perjury, meaning that if Sergeant had used this exact same reason instead of he used my copyrighted material under oath, then he would be charged with perjury. Now, just before I continue along with these laws that have been broken, let's quickly go to Sergeant's reason of Gorla had been bullying him, with Sergeant specifically referring to the channel in Gorla's Discord server titled SergeantSnake. But for legal purposes, this channel was not about its name, and instead a channel to talk about Sergeant's illegal activities. The channel had in fact been locked away from the public in early of May, but I was later granted access privately to the channel to investigate exactly all that happened, to which I can comfortably say that throughout DMs and the channel, Gorla had in fact not said anything that would match the terms of bullying or harassment. What Sergeant as well decides to not state is the slander that not only his fans made, but Sergeant agreeing with their statement of Gorla is a but more importantly, and a pervert. This here is absolute written slander which Sergeant should be held accountable. I as well decided to make contact with Sergeant and had been further asking him about the entire situation, as well as stating the multiple laws that he had been in violation of, with him essentially stating Gorla had been harassing him, and yet at the same time not knowing what Gorla had even said, completely failing to state any proof of Gorla harassing him, and not actually even knowing what was said. He then further blocked me instead of taking this situation seriously, with him stating that I had been accusing him of bullshit, not only to mention that there were others that had told me that I had been harassing Sergeant, yet providing nothing to support it. Sergeant as well said he would be making a response video when I eventually upload this video. Knowing that Sergeant has only been making false claims of me harassing him, I would assume that he would decide to include these false statements into the video. Need I remind you that he has still not provided any messages sent to qualify for harassment. With this in mind, I made sure for him to hear that if he does upload a response and include any false slander on my behalf, that I will be filing a lawsuit for defamation. And Sergeant's response is that he is going to sue me for slander without knowing a single thing that may be included in the video. Need I have to remind you that under UK law, in Civil Procedures Rules Part 21, a protected party must have a litigation friend to conduct proceedings on their behalf. Knowing that SergeantSnake is a minor, legally he is not allowed to file a lawsuit for defamation without an adult representing him. He has only been essentially threatening me with false lawsuits that he knows nothing about, with him not even knowing that he must have an adult to represent him. I would like to state something clear here, Sergeant. I state all these laws because if Gorla started to eventually get affected by your actions, that he does have the right as well and could file a lawsuit in federal court to recover his damages, whether that being lost ad revenue, lost sponsors, but also any attorney fees he may use. All would be covered. You throughout your entire span on YouTube have caused nothing but trouble in the community, and we need to put an end to this. Just before I end the video here, I would like to state that this video is not intended for any hate, harassment, or cyberbullying whatsoever, and is instead intended for educational purposes only, going over the situation as one in a documentary style context. And if you can please leave a like and subscribe, as this situation is still ongoing and more information on it might be coming out. Make sure to join my Discord server as well for more frequent updates on any topics. But with all that said, thank you all so much for watching, have an amazing day, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.